let's dive straight in. We're looking at Hölderlin and Novalis, two giants of German Romanticism, meeting in Jena back in 1795. Now, this wasn't just a casual meet cute. They were already heavy hitters in philosophy, and they weren't shy about calling out Fichte's big ideas. Their core beef? Fichte thought we have this crystal clear, immediate grasp of our own minds. Hölderlin and Novalis said, hold on. Our sense of self, our subjectivity, it's got roots in something deeper, something they called being, but crucially, this being is hidden from us, even from deep thought. It's like trying to understand the ground beneath your feet while standing on it. You can feel it, but you can't really see it or dissect it. This directly challenged the idea that reason could make everything transparent. For them, philosophy hits a wall, and poetry is the only thing that can hint at what's beyond. So, before we get to Hölderlin and Novalis, let's quickly set the stage with Kant. Kant's ethics is all about this clash, duty versus inclination. Think of it like your conscience versus your desires. Kant says moral rules are absolute. Gotta follow them no matter what you want. Freedom, for him, isn't just doing whatever you please. It's about setting up fair rules for yourself, even for your desires. Morality is the boss that keeps your impulses in line. And forget sympathy as a moral guide. Kant basically said acting nicely because you feel bad for someone? Not truly moral. He even imagined a superhuman who does good deeds purely out of duty, despite having zero feelings for others. That's the ultimate character, according to Kant. At his most intense, he even suggested that the more difficult it is to do the right thing against strong urges, the more impressive the act. Sublime morality, baby, that's the backdrop. Enter Friedrich Schiller, stepping into the ring with Kant. He saw Kant's approach as potentially leading down a dark path. Imagine morality as a grim, monk-like struggle against desire. While agreeing that duty comes from reason, not feelings, Schiller pushed back. He argued that virtue isn't about fighting feelings. It's about genuinely enjoying doing what's right. Think about it. If you hate doing something good, how sincere can your commitment really be? Schiller introduced the idea of grace, Anmut, that effortless, natural ease in doing the right thing, where your desires align with duty. This, he said, is the sign of a beautiful soul, a harmonious blend of reason and feeling, freedom and sensibility. It's like finding the sweet spot where doing good feels good. He even threw a philosophical zinger. Human nature is more of a connected whole than philosophers, who are good only at distinguishing, can make it out to be. Pretty bold. But here's where Schiller gets tangled. His beautiful soul ideal still carried Kantian baggage. If duty is purely rational, how can feeling just naturally harmonize with it? Can grace really determine what duty is? Kant himself gently nudged Schiller back towards rigorism. So, Schiller tried to patch things up. He called grace a duty of appearances, almost like feelings are just costumes we wear for duty. Or he pivoted to another Kantian concept, dignity word linked to the sublime. Remember Kant's sublime? That feeling of awe when reason confronts something vast or terrifying, showing reason's dominance over mere sensation. Schiller leaned into this, emphasizing the will ruling over our divided nature. But then he declared human perfection requires both grace and dignity. Talk about trying to juggle flaming torches. It seems like an impossible balancing act, pulling us in opposite directions. The unity of beauty versus the transcendence of sublimity. Now Hölderlin steps onto the scene. His novel Hyperion, even in its early fragments, tackles this very tension. He captures that human desire to be both deeply connected to the world and standing apart from it, shaping our own lives. He quotes Loyola's motto, not to be mastered by the greatest, yet contained by the smallest. It's about wanting the best of both worlds. Like Schiller, Hölderlin feared that focusing only on freedom could lead to fanaticism. But his solution was different. He saw life as a dynamic process, a movement away from a simple, unthinking unity with the world towards a more complex state where we achieve unity through our own efforts. This path, this journey away from, and yet still connected to the original unity, he called our eccentric path. Reflection, the act of stepping back to think about ourselves, is key, but it also creates this fundamental split between I and world, even when the world is myself. After soaking up the philosophical ferment in Jena, Hölderlin penned a crucial piece, Judgment and Being. He goes straight for the jugular of Fichte's system. Fichte's big idea? All knowledge starts with the absolute ego, the I and its relation to itself. Hölderlin says nope. Why? Because the very idea of an I implies judgment. You can't say I without somehow contrasting yourself with something else, even if that something is just your own thought. Every judgment, every act of knowing, involves splitting the world into subject and object. So, if the is defined by its ability to judge, how can it possibly be the unshakable foundation of knowledge before any judgment occurs? It's like saying the shadow defines the object before the light hits it. Self-awareness for Hölderlin already involves this split. Hölderlin digs deeper. He argues that even though self-consciousness involves this split, we still somehow recognize ourselves as one continuous self through time. How? He insists this underlying sense of unity, this absolute being, must exist prior to our conscious self-reflection. It's the ground upon which our ability to distinguish subject and object, even in ourselves, rests. Think of it like this: the eye is like a spotlight that divides the stage, but the stage itself, the whole play, existed before the spotlight was turned on. This being isn't identical to the identity the eye constructs. Being is the deep, pre-reflective unity. Identity is the eye's attempt to map it, inevitably creating divisions. And crucially, Hölderlin concludes this being is unknowable. You can't know it because knowing requires separating yourself from it. It's not a principle we can start with. It's the silent presupposition that makes reflection possible at all. Philosophy, then, isn't about building a system from first principles, but endlessly exploring the edges of this unknowable ground. So what does this mean for our experience of self? Hölderlin sees two pulls. First, the drive to stand back, to reflect, to distinguish myself from the world. This is the source of freedom, the impulse to be above everything. Second, the persistent feeling of being one with myself, with the world. This hints at a deeper unity, the desire to be in everything. His radical insight? These aren't just competing goals. They are the very structure of our being. We are inherently dissonant creatures. Our eccentric path is precisely this tension. Asserting freedom pulls us away from the original unity, yet we remain tethered to it. The goal, then, isn't to eliminate this tension, but to live within it, understanding how these opposing forces work together. But because being itself is unknowable, we can never fully resolve this tension through pure thought. As Hölderlin puts it, philosophy can only achieve infinite approximation, getting closer and closer, forever approaching, but never quite reaching the unification of subject and object. Hölderlin's novel Hyperion becomes the living embodiment of this philosophical struggle. It's not a straightforward story. It's a series of letters where the protagonist, Hyperion, reflects on past experiences, a teacher's nostalgia, a failed revolution, a love affair. Initially, Hyperion hates reflection. It's what shattered his earlier, simpler connection to the world, especially with Diotima. He famously cries, "Man is a god when he dreams, a beggar when he reflects." Reflection brings freedom, but it also brings alienation. He tries different paths, clinging to the past like Adamas, pursuing rigid morality like Alabanda, finding solace in nature like Diotima. Each offers a kind of unity, but none holds up under sustained reflection. Slowly, Hyperion realizes these experiences aren't failures, but illustrate the rhythm of life itself, the constant push and pull between seeking unity and acknowledging the limits of reflection. Both striving and reflecting draw on that deeper, pre-reflective unity. And here, Hölderlin makes his crucial distinction. Poetry, unlike philosophy, can capture this dynamic. Philosophy argues from the outside about being. Art embodies it. Art is the one differentiated in itself. It shows the unity while also being distinct from it. Now let's turn to Novalis. He also studied philosophy in Jena, knew Niethammer, and landed on similar critiques of Fichte. Like Hölderlin, he agreed that the eye must have some immediate, non-reflective awareness of itself. But he argued Fichte messed up by trying to explain this immediacy using the nature of the conscious eye itself. Fichte's term for this immediate self-awareness was intellectual intuition. Novalis sniffed this as a fake. It's like a hybrid beast mixing reflection knowledge with feeling passive awareness. If it's knowledge, it's still reflection. If it's pre-reflective feeling, it doesn't explain the eye's nature. Either way, the eye can't be the ultimate starting point. Echoing Jacobi via Niethammer, Novalis concluded, philosophy always needs something given. The limits of our feeling are the limits of philosophy. We can only reflect on the boundaries of reflection. Like Hölderlin, Novalis talked about reflection being rooted in some kind of being, something opaque. But his being wasn't the grand unity of mind and world like Hölderlin's. For Novalis, it was more focused. The primordial activity of the eye itself, the Urhandlung, the original action or impulse from which reflection springs. His famous aphorism nails it. We seek everywhere the unconditioned and always find only things. The unconditioned, the absolute, is the ultimate reality behind all conditioned things, but we can never pin it down. While Fichte identified the I as the absolute, Novalis, following Niethammer, rejected the I as a self-transparent first principle. Yet, he didn't ditch the idea of the absolute altogether. He saw it as the unknowable ground of the I's activity. Philosophy can only state this limit, but poetry? Poetry can show the elusiveness of the absolute. Its job is to suggest more than it says, using everyday things to evoke the mysterious core of the I's being. This, for novelists, is romanticism, infusing the ordinary with a sense of the profound, the unknown. Friedrich Schlegel, Novalis' brother-in-arms, took this further with his fragments. The title itself signals incompleteness. Art, for Schlegel, knows it's a fragment, always pointing beyond itself. His theory of irony is key here. Forget Socratic irony or the trope of saying the opposite. Schlegel's irony is about suggesting the indeterminate absolute from a specific viewpoint. It's not about hiding a fixed meaning, it's about embracing the inadequacy of any fixed position. It's the most wholly earnest, as he put it. It's a divided stance, affirming something while knowing it's just one step on a path. Unlike Hölderlin's emphasis on gratitude for the lost unity, Schlegel's vision is relentlessly forward-looking. It's about perpetual progress, always gesturing beyond the current horizon. Romantic poetry, for him, is a progressive universal poetry, constantly moving, never settling. So wrapping up, what do we see? Both Hölderlin and Novalis threw serious darts at the heart of Fichte's idealism, questioning the idea that our self-awareness is transparent and reason can grasp everything. Their paths diverged slightly on the nature of the ultimate reality behind reflection. Hölderlin pointed to a pre-subjective being, while Novalis and Schlegel focused on the I's own primordial activity. Hölderlin kept a foot in the camp of unity, even amidst the sublime, while Novalis and Schlegel embraced the sublime's freedom to transcend limits. But here's a crucial point. All three thinkers, despite their critiques, fundamentally saw the I as a knowing, judging subject, primarily concerned with self-acquaintance. The text ends with a provocative thought. What if our deepest relation to ourselves isn't about knowing who we are, but about being committed to norms, holding ourselves responsible to reasons? If that's the case, maybe the foundations of their thought about being would shift. Food for thought, wouldn't you say?